Lift & Co. is a publicly traded insights company built out of Canada over the last 4 years into what has become a relatively stable, trusted brand when it comes to being a provider of information, including disclaimers. What we do as a company is approaching from a top-down market sizing exercise focused on the analytics opportunity that what we think this cannabis industry presents. You've probably seen this number tossed around this conference specifically, global cannabis revenues. If you look at mature industries, you'll typically see about 10 to 15% of an industry's revenue being spent on marketing, and around 10% of that spend on research and analytics to inform that marketing. We're focusing on that segment to start, and overall on the marketing and research opportunity in the cannabis industry. And in the North America segment, we're projecting that to be about an $8.5 billion opportunity. To put this into context for what you hear here, everyone is trying to build a brand. The issue is the most sophisticated brands, whether it's in Canada or amongst MSOs here, are more or less flying blind. There's no insights on who the customer is, what they're buying, and where there might be more customers like them. And with that vision, about 5 years ago, we started by building channels to help these brands scale and ultimately help them understand their customer. 5 years ago, the business was a simple blog built right after Canada first legalized medical cannabis. We then added a review platform, which has now grown into the largest review platform in Canada. A main difference versus some peer companies like a Leafly or a Weedmaps is we don't do strain reviews. Leafly's great at reviewing Purple Kush, but nobody owns Purple Kush. And when customers buy Purple Kush, they buy branded Purple Kush. And our reviews capture specific brand sentiment that we feed back to the brands, and specific brand qualities that actually helps the customer purchase today's products. Branded Purple Kush, not a strain. One thing we do later on in our evolution is start collecting purchase receipts from our review website. So when you submit a review on Lyft, you'll take a photo of your receipt from your dispensary, and now we get to also know what else you're buying and how much you're spending on your products. The last thing we did in 2018, with a vision of understanding the bud tender, which we thought was a key driver in this industry, was create a bud tender content platform. It's called CanCell, and it's been granted a government monopoly in Ontario. You cannot work in an Ontario retail location unless you take CanCell training as an employee. Now what that means is Lift & Co. has guaranteed 100% penetration for every single bud tender in that province. We're in a total of 8 provinces across the country. And those bud tenders represent a great research pool for us, asking them what they see on the front lines and feeding that information back to brands. And the culmination of this journey is our evolution into being an insights provider. It's always been about being trusted information channels. And today we're pushing that into the insights business with a product we've called Cohesion. It sits at the middle of our ecosystem, which on a trailing 12-month basis has generated around $7 million in top-line revenue. Historically, we've doubled our revenue, and where we're seeing the most growth in the future, it's coming from Cohesion. We launched September 10th, a data-as-a-service platform. Our main clients are cannabis brands looking to scale their brand and understand their competitive positioning. And today we sell 3 modules in this platform: review, receipt, and brand. The review module collects all our review data. Our receipt module collects all our receipt data from our users. And our brand module is essentially research panels with our users and our bud tenders, all together served in a cohesive dashboard. And what we can do right now today is for the top 50 brands in the Canadian market, predict sales volumes with a 95-degree confidence level. And unlike peer companies projecting out transactional data in the cannabis industry, we're able to match that data one-to-one with geographic, demographic information, brand recall, bud tender, brand sentiment, and all sorts of data points that help brands answer the questions they need to answer. The reason we can do this is because of what we have built over the last 5 years. That's an incredibly unique, custom, and wholly owned product stack. Let's say you have a question as a brand. Am I building a loyal brand following? We answer that question with a number of data points. From our review modules, we might see that people that are reviewing this product are indicating with an increasing response rate that they're going to purchase this product again. On our receipt module, we actually see your product showing up on receipts time and time again. And specifically amongst a cohort that's 35 to 45 and has an income level of $100,000 a year. Maybe that's the customer segment you're trying to build brand loyalty with. We can validate that further by polling our user base, which is representative of the population, or polling our bud tenders, which are right now in 8 jurisdictions using our products. We are a cohesive solution for answering the pain points that brands need. And if you remember one slide, just remember this one. This is the most important slide in the presentation. Data providers today can tell you what has happened. Headset, BDS, POS providers can tell you historic velocity for your products, and maybe they can predict out market share. No data provider today other than us can tell you who and why is moving those products. We can tell you that on average, millennials, 35 to 45, well, that's not a millennial, millennials, that, I am one by the way, that have a certain income, live in a certain region, are buying your product. And when we look at their reviews, we actually see that after the fact, maybe they're not enjoying your product and they might not come back. We tell you who buys your product and why. And when it comes to answering questions about building brands, you can't build a brand unless you know who buys your product and why. If you ask any brand you might meet here today that operates in the US or Canada, they don't know who's buying their product. If they ask the retailer, Mr. Retailer, who's buying my product? The retailer doesn't know either. Nobody knows who's buying these products, making it impossible to scale brands long term. The other main difference and competitive differentiator for us is that we own our data sources. This data comes from a wholly owned review marketplace and a wholly owned bud tender platform. POS peers rely on third parties to provide them data. We are not reliant on anybody but ourselves to collect an increasing amount of data. And when we launched with a pretty high confidence level, being able to predict things for brands. And as our platform scales, we're just going to be in a better and better place to do this. Put another way, look at what a Nielsen would do to service a consumer packaged goods client. They're able to answer the who and the why. The industry is going there. It's just a matter of time. From a team perspective, other than myself, I come from a corporate law background and a business background before that. Our CFO comes from a previous public company where she rolled up a number of assets with an M&A platform. Our CTO and our Chief Revenue Officer, those responsible for building and selling the data product I've been speaking to, have exited multiple data startups, have worked in venture-backed funds, and have run some major e-commerce and digital players in the Canadian industry. Our board of directors includes former board members from MedReleaf, former public company directors with ample governance experience, and a representative from Gotham Green, which has been one of our largest and repeat investors since 2017. We trade on the OTCQB and on the TSXV Venture Exchange. To date, that business has scaled in Canada. We're already collecting data in the US today, building out our panels. And over the next few months, you'll likely see a very aggressive push from us into the US market, focused on answering for US brands when nobody can answer them for them today, which is how do I build my brand and how do I build a sustainable customer base? I'll take questions for 10 minutes. I can just tell you a couple cool things that we've done. We recently launched a study with Ernst & Young. Came out about a month ago. If you don't know, Canada just legalized edibles on October 17th, so last week. And Ernst & Young approached us and said, hey, we want to understand this market before it comes out. And we used our Cohesion platform to put out a research paper with them. And that paper said, we expect about 3 million new consumers that have never tried cannabis before to enter the Canadian market. It's about 8% of the Canadian population, 3 million people. And we dug in and said, okay, why are these people coming onto the market? Well, most of them, 75% of these 3 million people said they would come on to try topical. 50% of the 3 million said they would come on and try an edible, and 25% said they would come on and try a vape pen. So if I'm an LP, and we do this with some of our clients, we share this research with them. We ask them, what is your go-to-market strategy? And most of them look at us and say, well, we think this is a good idea. And then they list a bunch of investments in beverages or some other things. The reality is there has been no data. These folks are incredibly smart. They just don't have the tools. And this study, in our conversations as we pitch this product, opens up their eyes. And they say, okay, maybe there's a learning here. If I can build a suite under one brand, maybe enter the market with a topical, because that seems to be the lowest friction point for introducing new customers. Give them a good low impact experience. Move on to a low dose edible and target it to the demographics that this research is telling me is receptive to it. Maybe I have more than just a gut feel on how to start building a brand in the market. And that's just one example of conversations that we have on a daily basis. That filled an extra 2 minutes. Question? So the question was, in the next 12 months, do we have any plans to acquire any assets similar to us or go all organic? We need to have an organic plan, which we do. The reality is organic costs a lot of money, and it's very painful, and it's slow. As we look to the US, we had the advantage of being in Canada, the only player at the time and scaling, and now we're dominant. But we don't have that advantage in the US. We're looking. Definitely. What we see in the US is fragmentation as an opportunity. To give you an example, we've thought about loyalty programs. There's a lot of small players with maybe 200 to 300 store counts in different jurisdictions that on their own don't have much of a business. But plug them into a marketing platform that is able to segment customers in a way that a simple loyalty program can't. And now maybe we can start picking up geographies that also feed data into our platform. So we're definitely looking. We find the Illinois market incredibly attractive. We think we might be able to replicate our playbook, being there first. We're also looking at very mature markets like Colorado. We think people might be more interested in adopting a new technology if they know the market very well. So we're going to test and learn a few things. Yes? I feel like you've asked everybody this question. Well, look, I mean, I think we're trading at about 10 cents today. That puts us at a valuation equivalent to our trailing 12-month revenue. So implicitly in there, I'm going to say there's probably a discount being applied that isn't necessarily warranted. If I had to understand why, we're a small cap company, the data product is a little bit new, and we have to show that we can do it. And in the context of a downturn market, people are going to be a little bit more risk averse to the point where we're seeing our valuation equal our trailing 12-month revenue. I think it's a matter of time until the story really resonates. Yes?
How do you go to market in the United States to pick up clients?
I'm going to try to answer this question by actually answering your question, but saying things that I can say. If you all pull up your phones or computers and type in Leafly right now, say you're in California and type in Dosist, which is a brand that you probably all recognize. Dosist, a leading brand for the last 5 years in that market, has probably 20 reviews on Leafly. So that says to us that here's a dominant review platform where a dominant brand is non-existent. We don't think that the current customer buying brands, not strains, is being serviced by the solutions that are out there. In fact, Leafly went all in on terpenes and ignored brands a few weeks ago, which is great for us. So we think by focusing on brands and getting the brands invested in adopting our platform, because our platform collects data for them and it gives them insights into their customers, we do two things. We answer the customer's question, is Dosist actually good, or is there a better pen, or what should I buy? While feeding the brands back information that they find valuable. We're trying to create a network effect between two players that are currently unserviced by the market. And we think we'll do that with a solution that you can fit in your pocket. Three minutes. There's one thing I completely glossed over. I paid for my time, so I'm going to use it. We have a trade show business. You might know us as a big trade show provider in Canada. We did the very first trade show in the Canadian market in 2016. That trade show is now about 20,000 people. It's 50+% margin as a business. So it's been a very great and exciting business to date. That said, it's been a branding exercise for us. So as you look for updates in the company and what's happening next, expect to see our events business still be a big staple of what we've done historically, but our focus is on the data side of the business. By the time we speak again, or if we never speak again and you watch the company, if you want to know that what we're doing is actually working, look out for anything around the data side of the business or anything around the geographies of the business as we look to enter the US. To answer your question on when will the market listen, I think once we have a bit more information on the data side. Thanks, guys.